I'd like to start off this book review by saying that if you have not read the first novel in the Dreamhouse King series, House of Dark Shadows, there will be many spoilers concerning the book, as this book review is on the last two books in the series. So if you are kind of wary about spoilers, please do not watch this video, and if you are interested in finding out more about how the series goes, then please keep watching. Just a mere few minutes after their mother is kidnapped by a strange man that lives in their house, Xander, David, their father, and their younger sister Toria have to devise a plan to be able to get their mother back from wherever it is that she is at. Xander, David, and Toria then find out that their father actually used to live in the house 30 years prior and was actually the son of a family whose own mother was taken at the very beginning of the Dreamhouse Kings series. And when a mysterious man shows up and takes a certain interest in the house, Xander and David are not really sure as to what they are supposed to do and how exactly they're going to be able to find their mother, when there are countless places that she could have ended up, and there are so many passages to different worlds and different times that they cannot even begin to count them all. In the second novel in the Dreamhouse King series, Watcher in the Woods, Xander and David really try to help their father and younger sister be able to find their mother, but they come up against a lot of complications along this journey. First of all, they really don't even know where exactly their mother is, because it looked like she went into one place and then ended up in another and then was completely taken, and they have no clue where she even really is. So that poses quite a problem for these two young boys. My overall thoughts on Watcher in the Woods compared to House of Dark Shadows was that this was an amazing extension to the story, with exactly how the first book left off, when you start learning about especially their father's connection to the house and how he was actually the child that grew up in the house and had his own mother taken. It really started to develop a lot more personality in a lot of the characters, especially Xander, David, and Toria's dad. We really don't get much of a personality from him in the first novel, and then towards the end we start to find out who he really is. And then in this book, a lot of protective paternal instincts start to kick in for him, which shows that he is very, very, very loving of his family, and he is so determined to figure out where his wife is, and then even so hopefully find out where his mother was taken at the same time. I definitely think that this was a great extension to the House of Dark Shadows book, because it really seemed to follow a very clear path. It was a little predictable as far as how this was going to go, because of the fact that their mother was just taken and they all so badly want to find her. However, a lot of the things that came up throughout the novel were very surprising. Very few instances, there were some instances where David and Xander would end up in so many different kinds of worlds, and a lot of strange things would happen in those worlds that you would not expect to happen to them. Along with that, when the mysterious man comes up and takes such an interest in the house, it kind of sets you on a bit of an edge. Like, you don't really know what this guy is capable of, you don't know who he is, you don't really know much about him, so you kind of feel this overwhelming sense of kind of nervousness because of him whenever he arises in the book, because you just don't really know. I think Robert Liparulo made a really great extension to this book, and I really don't want to say too much else about it, because I do want to make sure I go into Gatekeepers as well. But overall, I thought it was an interesting extension, and I really didn't see many problems with it, other than the fact that it was kind of a predictable way for the story to go, in my opinion, but that was mostly because of the fact of how the ending was set up. So there was really no question as to whether or not they were going to go after her or not. It was just clear that they were totally going to go after her, because why wouldn't you want to go after a criminal or monster of some sort that takes your mother? Then later on in Gatekeepers, the final installment of the Dreamhouse King series, a lot more crazy things really seem to happen for Xander and David. First of all, they haven't really been able to figure out exactly where their mom is, but they're starting to notice that the house has some very strange things going on. Apart from the fact that they're being able to transport to different times and places, they're also finding out that they're almost like memories of what this house has gone through, or of the people that lived in this house. It almost seems as if that the people, the family themselves, have been a part of this house for so many years, or so many different lives. And when a very old man comes to the house and tells them that they are essentially what are called gatekeepers of the house, they start to wonder if maybe that this was a bit of fate going their way. And along with that, an evil force and king named Taxidian arrives, and he starts to bring in all kinds of crazy things into the family themselves, because of the fact that they are dealing with such dark forces at hand when trying to find their mother. I think this is another really good extension to the story. This is actually not the last book in the series, and apparently there are more, or there will be more. Unfortunately, though, these are the only 3 novels in the series that my sister had at the time, so I don't really know much else past what happens in this book. But I really thought that this one was really, really interesting, especially because they brought in a whole other dark force that was trying to mess everything up for the King family. And I just think that being able to play with all kinds of dark forces on top of this whole scenario of trying to figure out what this house even is interesting, because it brings a point that when you start messing with dark forces, bad things are going to happen and everything's going to explode. So this kind of motif or theme of not messing with dark forces that are beyond your control, I think is really evident throughout this story, because it really gets things messed up. As it was evident in the first 2 novels, because of their father's actions, Xander and David's father's actions of returning to the house and trying to find his mother again, they ended up losing his wife and Xander and David and Toria's mother, and so all kinds of things have basically transpired since then. Gatekeepers, though, I thought was really interesting, because now it's kind of like, because they had dealt with so much of this dark force in these last 2 books, now they have to deal with a whole other force that may somehow be related to the fact that they are messing with forces beyond their control. And that has to say a lot about what exactly can we do, what kind of limits are we trapped in as far as what can we do with unnatural forces. Overall, the character arcs of these characters were very, very interesting. I felt like Xander in the second book was very stagnant, but that was mostly because of the fact that he was so set on finding his mom that he was just in a constant, almost like rage state, and anytime someone was trying to get him to stop looking, he would be so enticed to just keep looking and keep searching for his mother, which says a lot about him. He obviously cares so much for his mother that he wants to find her, and also it says that he is very, very protective, which we don't really seem to get much in the first novel. In the first novel, he's very, very much the older brother, really tired of his younger siblings, wants nothing to do with them, really doesn't even care about the fact that they are going to a new home. He's actually dead set against it. But it seems now that in the second and third book, he really steps it up as an older brother and almost kind of as the leader of the family, despite the fact that his father is still around. As far as the father, he really does grow a lot in the second book, because we see a lot more of him, especially after he reveals that he is originally from that house, that he lived in that house 30 years prior, and that he has experienced this before. However, I feel like it is very, very dumb for someone, even in this position, having lost a mother, to return to a place that you know is evil and that you know is bad. Like, that just seems so dumb to me as to why he would even consider that to be a good idea, or even a plausible idea at that. It just seemed so, so stupid to me. But I guess, I mean, if he hadn't have done that, there would have been no story, so I don't know. This kind of seemed really dumb to me, which I guess makes me identify a little bit more with Xander, because I think I would have been absolutely outraged if I found out my parents took me to a place that they knew was bad, just so that they can try to find somebody that was probably long gone. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the dad. Stupid, but still a really cool guy. So yeah, that's essentially all I really wanted to say about both Watcher in the Woods and Gatekeepers. I'm sorry that the book review has been taking a long time to do. This semester has been really, really rough on me, so I haven't had much time to read. However, I was able to get through both of these books, so I was super happy with it. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of mashed up book review, like 2 book reviews in one. Let me know if you guys like that at all. I mean, especially when it comes to a series that is, I go from one book to the next, like in sequential order. Let me know what you guys think of that, if I should do kind of more of this style for series. If not, I'll just do them how I normally have been doing it, but that is up to you guys. That being said, thank you guys so much for joining me in this book review of both Watcher in the Woods and Gatekeepers by Robert Liparulo. If you guys enjoyed it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!